Level 1. The volunteer. You're 22, fresh out of school, and you actually believe things can get better if the right people are put in charge. You knock on doors nobody else wants to knock on. Most people slam the door before you finish your first sentence. A few actually listen. You don't get paid much. Some weeks, you don't get paid at all. But you keep showing up because you believe this candidate is different. He is someone who actually wants to fix things, not just win. The candidate notices you. He remembers your name. He asks about your family. For the first time, someone who matters is actually paying attention to you. Late at night, after everyone else goes home, you stay behind reading policy briefs you don't fully understand yet. Election night comes. You win. You cry. Actual tears. You didn't expect that. The candidate, now the councilman-elect, pulls you aside and offers you a real job. Full-time. On his staff. In front of the whole room, he tells everyone you're the hardest worker he's ever seen. You feel 10 feet tall. You call your mother that night. She's proud of you. She tells you to remember who you are, no matter how far this goes. You promise her you will. You believe it completely, the way only someone who has never been tested can. Your first morning at the district office, you're handed a laminated badge with your name spelled wrong. You don't care. You walk through the door still believing you're one of the good ones. You have no idea yet how many small doors are about to open for you or what each one will quietly cost. Level 2. The aide. You answer phones. You draft letters. You learn where every file is kept before anyone else does. The councilman starts trusting you with things that matter. You sit in on meetings you technically aren't supposed to be in. You start to learn how things actually get done here. Not in the textbooks, but in the hallway conversations after the cameras leave. A local business owner takes you to lunch. Just a talk, he says. He asks about a permit his company has been waiting on. You say you'll look into it. It's such a small thing. You tell yourself it doesn't mean anything. The permit gets approved a little faster than usual. Nobody says anything about it. Nothing happens. The sky doesn't fall. You start to understand that this is simply how the machine runs. Favors, relationships, small debts quietly repaid. You still go home to the same small apartment. You still call your mother most Sundays. The councilman invites you to a fundraiser dinner. Dykes, your first time in a room like this? The people in this room have more money in their pockets than your family made in a decade. A donor shakes your hand a beat too long, smiling like he already knows you'll be useful someday. You laugh at his joke. You're not sure it was funny. Driving home that night, you replay every conversation, wondering which ones actually mattered. The councilman tells you that one day you should run for something yourself. You laugh it off. But that night, lying awake, the idea doesn't leave you alone. Level 3. The councilman. You run for your own seat. It's a small district. Nobody outside it has ever heard of it. You win by less than 300 votes. Your first council meeting, your hands shake so badly you have to hold your notes with both hands. You vote on zoning laws, budget lines, things that sound boring until you realize they decide who gets a park and who gets a landfill. You cut ribbons at a new community center. Kids wave little flags at you. For a moment, it feels exactly like you imagined it would. A local developer requests a meeting. He wants a vote on a rezoning project that would make him a great deal of money. He mentions almost casually how much his company has already given to your campaign fund. You tell him you'll review the proposal fairly. That night, you actually do review it fairly. You vote against a part of it that would hurt a nearby neighborhood. The developer isn't happy, but he doesn't disappear either. You start noticing how many decisions in this building are made before anyone actually votes. Your name starts appearing in the local paper, sometimes kindly, sometimes not. Your mother keeps every clipping in a drawer. You meet someone. Late nights working the same campaign trail turn into something more. For a while, work and love feel like they're pulling in the same direction. The state party chairman invites you to a private dinner. Just a handful of rising names in the room. He tells you, quietly, that people are starting to talk about you as someone worth watching. You don't sleep much that night. Level 4. The favor. You run for a bigger seat and win it. Your partner is there in the front row, holding your child for the first time in public. A well-connected lobbyist introduces himself before you've even finished shaking every hand on stage. He tells you he represents people who could make your next 10 years a lot easier. The invitations start arriving. Dinners, golf trips, rooms full of people who already assume you're one of them. You tell yourself accepting a dinner isn't the same as accepting a favor. A vote comes up that quietly benefits the people who've been so generous with their time. You vote yes. You tell yourself it was the right policy anyway. Nobody claps, nobody notices. That's what makes it so easy to do again. At home, your partner asks how the new job is going. You give the short version. You've started leaving out the parts you're not sure how to explain. Your child is walking now. You've missed more of it than you'd like to admit. The lobbyist starts calling you by a nickname only friends usually use. You tell yourself you're just being smart. Building relationships? That's what everyone here does. A community advocate confronts you outside a hearing, asking why the vote didn't go the way you promised her neighborhood. You don't have a good answer. You give her one anyway. That night, you replay the conversation more than you'd like to. Your partner is already asleep by the time you come inside. You tell yourself this is temporary, just until you're established, just until you have real power to do good with. Level 5. The senator. You win a seat in the state senate. The office is bigger, the staff is bigger. The donors calling your office are bigger too. You travel now. Conferences, committee hearings in the Capitol. Weeks away from home start to feel normal. Your child asks, over video call, when you're coming home. You give an answer you're not totally sure is true. A national donor network starts funding your campaigns directly. You start believing, quietly, that the rules that apply to other people don't quite apply to you the same way anymore. A journalist starts asking pointed questions about your donor list. You give a smooth, rehearsed answer. It isn't quite a lie. It isn't quite the truth either. Your press secretary tells you afterward that you handled it perfectly. You're not sure why that compliment doesn't feel as good as it should. At home for a rare weekend, your partner mentions that your child has started calling the nanny mom by accident. You laugh it off. Your partner doesn't laugh with you. A senior senator takes you under his wing, teaching you how the real votes get counted before they ever reach the floor. He tells you that principle is a luxury for people who never plan to matter. You don't agree with him out loud, but you don't argue either. Your approval numbers climb. Your circle of real friends quietly shrinks. You start keeping a mental list of who wants something from you and who's just glad to see you. The list of the second kind of person is getting shorter every year. The state party chairman calls with an offer that would change everything. A shot at the governor's mansion. Level 6. The deal. A powerful party boss offers to clear your path to the nomination on one condition. He wants your support on a bill you have quiet doubts about. You ask for a night to think about it. He tells you the offer doesn't come with a night. You say yes. Driving home, you feel something settle in your chest that doesn't feel like pride. Your partner is waiting up when you get home. That almost never happens anymore. They ask directly if the rumors about the deal are true. You tell them it's complicated. You know that isn't really an answer. Your partner says quietly that they don't recognize who you're becoming. You don't have an answer for that either. Your child, older now, overhears part of the argument from the top of the stairs. Nobody explains it to them. They learn to stop asking about your work. The bill passes. Your name is barely mentioned in the coverage. The party boss sends a short, satisfied message. Nothing else. You tell yourself the bill wasn't that harmful anyway. You've gotten good at telling yourself things. You buy your partner flowers on the way home. It feels less like an apology and more like a transaction. They accept them politely. That's somehow worse than if they'd refused. The nomination is announced 2 weeks later. You're the party's candidate for governor. Somewhere behind the applause, you catch your partner's expression in the crowd. It isn't pride. It's something closer to worry. Level 7. The governor. You win the governorship in a landslide. You move into a house that isn't really yours, guarded by people whose names you don't bother learning. Your family moves with you. Your child has to change schools for the 3rd time. You sign your first executive order in front of a wall of cameras. A reporter uncovers a connection between your biggest donor and a state contract awarded shortly after your election. Your press team calls it an emerging narrative that needs to be managed, not a scandal. You give a press conference. You look calm. Inside, you are not. The story fades from the headlines within a week. You've learned how fast the public forgets. Your teenage child stops coming down for family dinners. You knock on their door one night. They don't answer. Your partner tells you, gently but plainly, that the job has taken more from this family than it's given. You promise things will slow down after the next election. You've said that before. A national strategist reaches out. He thinks you have exactly the profile the party needs for the next presidential race. For a moment, you think of your mother's voice, telling you to remember who you are. You're not entirely sure anymore who that person was. You tell the strategist you'll think about it. You've already decided. Your security detail doubles before you've even announced anything. Your partner finds out about the national campaign from a news alert, not from you. That night, for the first time in years, you sleep in separate rooms. Level 8. The candidate. You announce your run for president. Every word you say now is measured, tested, focus grouped before it ever reaches your mouth. You fly to a different city almost every day. You stop being able to remember which hotel room you woke up in. An old friend from your volunteer days reaches out just to say hello. Your scheduler tells you there simply isn't room for a call like that this month. You tell yourself you'll call them after the election. You've started saying that about a lot of people. Opposition researchers dig into every year of your career, looking for the deal, the favor, the vote that could sink you. A story breaks about the old rezoning vote from your councilman days. Your team calls it manageable. You give an interview where you explain a version of events that's true enough to defend. Your partner watches the interview from a hotel room, alone, phone silent beside them. Your child, now nearly grown, is photographed for a campaign brochure smiling beside you. It's the most time you've spent together in months. You win the primary. The general election becomes a blur of debate stages, motorcades, and hotel ceilings you stare at instead of sleeping. A rival campaign leaks an old recording of you speaking too honestly at a private donor dinner years ago. You spend 3 sleepless nights with lawyers and strategists deciding exactly how to apologize without really apologizing. You deliver the apology. The room applauds. You're not sure any of it was real. Election night arrives again, bigger than any before it. You win. Somewhere in the roar of the crowd, you look for your partner's face and can't immediately find it. Level 9. The President. You take the oath. It's the proudest and loneliest moment of your life at the exact same time. Every room you walk into now goes quiet the moment you enter it. You can no longer tell if people agree with you because they mean it or because agreeing with you is simply safer. A trusted advisor is caught leaking details of a private meeting to the press. You start wondering who else in the room might be doing the same thing. You stop finishing sensitive sentences out loud, even around people you've known for years. Late at night, alone in the residence, you find yourself missing the noise of a crowded, ordinary office. Your child calls, mostly out of duty now. The conversations are short and careful. Your partner attends state dinners beside you, smiling for the cameras, saying almost nothing to you in private anymore. A crisis erupts overseas. You're woken at 3 in the morning by a phone call that changes the whole day. You make a decision that will be written about for decades, sitting alone at 4 a.m., with a cup of coffee, going cold. The decision works out. Nobody outside a small room will ever know how close it came to going the other way. Your approval rating climbs to numbers no one on your team expected. You still can't sleep more than a few hours a night. You start keeping a framed photo from your volunteer days on your desk, though you're not sure why anymore. A journalist asks, in a rare unguarded moment, if you're happy. You give a practiced answer. Alone afterward, you're not sure the practiced answer was a lie. Your re-election campaign begins before you've even settled into the job. You realize, somewhere in the middle of it, that you can't quite remember what it felt like to simply want to help people. Level 10. The Throne. You win a second term. The celebration feels smaller than the first, quieter, more exhausted. An old ally, someone who helped build your career from the very beginning, is caught in a scandal that traces uncomfortably close to you. You have to decide whether to protect him or protect yourself. You already know which one you'll choose. You distance yourself publicly. Privately, you make sure he's taken care of, quietly, the way this world always has. You realize you could never simply resign now, even if you wanted to. Too many people, too many secrets are tied to your staying exactly where you are. The chair that once felt like the biggest dream of your life now feels like the only place you're allowed to stand. Your partner moves out quietly, without a public announcement, without a scene. Just an empty side of the residence. Your child, now an adult, sends a short message wishing you well. Nothing more. You have more power than you ever imagined possible as a young man stuffing envelopes in a campaign office. You are also more alone than you have ever been in your entire life. You can't call an old friend without a team analyzing what it might mean. You can't trust a compliment without wondering what it's meant to soften you up for. Late one night, alone in the residence, you take out the old framed photo from your desk and simply look at it for a long time. You think about the young man in that photo and how certain he was that power would never change him. You wonder quietly, at what exact point you stopped being able to walk away. There isn't one single moment you can point to. There never is. It was never one deal. It was 1,000 small ones, each easy enough to justify on its own. The throne you spent your whole life climbing toward has quietly become the only cage you'll ever really live in. You sit there until the sun comes up because there's nowhere left that feels like home to go instead. You sit alone in a room built for someone far more important than you feel right now. Somewhere far from here, in a small, modest campaign office, someone barely 22 years old is stuffing flyers into envelopes for the first time. They believe completely that this time will be different. They have no idea yet how many small doors are about to open for them, or what each one will quietly cost. The cycle continues